Since childhood, I've always wanted to see her true form. The Water Palace lady's expression shifted subtly, while Yin Sun Yang impatiently entered the inner chamber. Hurry and find the spirit cave mushroom. If she gets to it first, all your effort will be wasted, the Water Palace lady reminded me urgently. It's too late, she's already found it, I replied. Less than a minute later, Yin Sun Yang emerged, holding a spirit cave mushroom that resembled a tiny glowing lingji. Her face beamed with excitement. The mushroom was no bigger than a finger, radiating a soft spiritual light, clearly no ordinary item. Though I'd never seen a spirit cave mushroom before, her expression confirmed its significance. So quick! For the nine-tailed fox's lair to house such a treasure, it made my eyes glimmer with intrigue. With the nine-tailed fox absent, this is perfect timing. Yin Sun Yang grinned triumphantly. Now that you have the spirit cave mushroom, hand over the dragon-slaying talisman to him. The Water Palace lady commanded her directly in my presence. Yin Sun Yang's eyes never left the mushroom as she sneered, dragon-slaying talisman? When did I ever promise to give it to him? Her shamelessness tore apart the agreement entirely, exposing her true colors. She was no different from those deceitful women of the past, disgusting and vile. I kept a straight face. The Water Palace lady's expression darkened. Hand over the dragon-slaying talisman to him. Yin Sun Yang remained indifferent, not even sparing me a glance. The Water Palace lady's eyes flashed coldly as she turned to look at me, her gaze filled with complex emotions. I told you before, anything in her hands will never be given up. Her disappointment was evident, but she clenched her teeth and refocused on Yin Sun Yang. Give him the dragon-slaying talisman. Shut up. He brought this upon himself. Did he really think I would hand it over? I was just using him. Yin Sun Yang mocked, not even sparing the Water Palace lady a glance. Instead, she cast a disdainful look my way. You're useless to me now. Out of the kindness of my heart, I'll let you live. Now get lost. The agreement says you still owe me the dragon-slaying talisman. I stared at her and said, Agreement? What agreement? What right do you have to demand my talisman? If I want you dead, you'll die. Be grateful I'm sparing you. Now leave. 3 seconds. If you're not gone by then, I'll tear you apart. 1. Yin Sun Yang's eyes narrowed, radiating icy malice. 2. 3. A chilling aura emanated from Yin Sun Yang as her gaze turned as cold as a predator eyeing its prey. She was intent on killing me to silence me. The Water Palace lady stepped forward, but I locked eyes with Yin Sun Yang and spoke calmly. Do you really think I didn't prepare for this? Did you think my only reason for entering the nine-tailed fox's lair was to steal the spirit cave mushroom? I saw through your scheme long ago. You want to lure out the nine-tailed fox and force me to hand over the dragon-slaying talisman, don't you? Such a trick, I saw through it 1,000 years ago. Yin Sun Yang sneered, confident she'd outplayed me. Is that so? I spread my hands and smiled. Then why don't you sense again, see if the nine-tailed fox is here or not? Stalling for time? Forget it. I'll kill you and leave immediately. How would she even know I was here? Yin Sun Yang sneered coldly, dismissing me entirely as she prepared to strike. At that moment, a cold, unfamiliar voice echoed from outside, who's causing a ruckus in my lair? Do you truly think I don't exist? Yin Sun Yang froze in shock, her eyes fixed on the entrance. Impossible. I couldn't sense her just now, how is she suddenly back? The Water Palace lady's face shifted, but I wasn't surprised, I had anticipated this. Before climbing the mountain, I had deliberately relieved myself at the base of a peculiar guarding tree rumored to have geomantic significance, signaling the nine-tailed fox of our arrival. Yin Sun Yang took a deep breath, casting me a cold glance as she steadied herself. She tucked the spirit cave mushroom away and cradled the little fox gently, feigning calm confidence. A gust of wind suddenly swept through the cave, so strong it was hard to keep my eyes open. Reflexively shielding myself, I lowered my hand to find a tall woman in a white dress standing before me. Her skin was as fair as jade, her lips red like cinnabar, and her features exquisitely painted. Her eyes, clear yet detached, carried a profound coldness. Though she appeared to be in her late 20s, her gaze bore the weight of millennia, indifferent to the trivialities of mortals. What shocked me even more was that she carried no discernible aura, as if she were an ordinary person. So this was the legendary nine-tailed fox I heard about as a child? Truly unfathomable. The moment she laid eyes on the small fox in Yin Sun Yang's arms, her gaze flickered, and in the blink of an eye, she vanished. When she reappeared, Yin Sun Yang was startled. The little fox in her arms had disappeared, now cradled silently in the arms of the nine-tailed fox. Yin Sun Yang's face turned pale, her muscles tensed. She knew exactly what this meant. Even the Water Palace lady's expression changed. I was stunned. As a dragon child with superior vision, I had barely managed to catch a glimpse of the nine-tailed fox's fleeting movement. Her speed was lightning fast. If I had been the one holding the little fox, I wouldn't have reacted in time either. The nine-tailed fox gently held her daughter, her gaze fixed on the small fox. The cave was deathly silent, its atmosphere heavy and oppressive. Yin Sun Yan's pupils contracted as she sighed. Nine-tailed fox, it's good you're back. Your daughter was undergoing the Lingji tribulation in my 10,000 corpse pit. I happened to see it. I stayed to observe, but during the second lightning strike, she couldn't hold on. I immediately stepped in to save her, but the tribulation was too strong. I couldn't save her. All I could do was bring her body back. You have my condolences. In Sun Yang wore an expression of regret, feigning sorrow. The nine-tailed fox didn't even glance at her, keeping her eyes on the fox in her arms. The cave remained eerily silent, the atmosphere suffocatingly tense. Now that your child is in your care, my task is complete. I'll take my leave. In Sun Yang sighed, motioning for the water palace lady to follow her out. The nine-tailed fox continued to ignore her. In Sun Yang frowned slightly. At that moment, the nine-tailed fox's eyes brightened, and she exhaled a golden breath of vital energy toward the small fox. It was clearly her own life essence. As the energy entered its body, the little fox shuddered, then slowly opened its tired, large eyes. The little fox was alive again. The water palace lady's expression shifted, but then she let out a long sigh of relief. I, too, felt a wave of reassurance. However, In Sun Yang's lips twitched, revealing her unease. Didn't I tell you not to leave the cave? Do you take my words as mere noise? The nine-tailed fox scolded sternly. The little fox, now awake, had intelligent, human-like eyes. Its twin tail swayed slowly, it was clear its spiritual intelligence had successfully awakened. At this point, it seemed even more clever than most humans. Woo, woo, the little fox clung tightly to the nine-tailed fox, nuzzling against her pale chin. The nine-tailed fox's reproach softened. If not for In Sun Yang's help, you would have died from the lightning tribulation. The little fox, upon hearing the name In Sun Yang, immediately shook its head and darted its gaze around. When it saw me, its eyes lit up with joy, and it extended a paw to point at me, whispering softly into the nine-tailed fox's ear. You're talking about him. The nine-tailed fox's expression changed as her eyes shifted toward me. In Sun Yang's face tightened, and she glanced toward the cave entrance, ready to flee at any moment. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. Thankfully, the little fox had awakened, otherwise, In Sun Yang might have stolen the credit. The water palace lady also seemed relieved. So, you were counting on the nine-tailed fox to help. Since you saved her daughter, it's only reasonable she should assist with removing the dragon spirit talisman. If she asks, the talisman will surely be handed over. Her voice reached me. I nodded. The nine-tailed fox seemed to hear her too, casting the water palace lady a brief glance. The little fox nodded eagerly, but the nine-tailed fox shook her head. You're mistaken. It was In Sun Yang who saved you. How could it have been him? I froze. The water palace lady froze. Even In Sun Yang froze. The little fox shook its head frantically, trying to explain with urgent, soft cries. The nine-tailed fox ignored it and said flatly, You're exhausted and mistaken. Go back and meditate to recover. Don't leave again without my permission. In Sun Yang smirked with satisfaction. The little fox gave me a pitiful look before hopping down from the nine-tailed fox's arms. Reluctantly, it started toward an inner room, turning back to glance at me. How could the nine-tailed fox twist the truth like this? You clearly saved her daughter, yet she refuses to acknowledge it. It's outrageous. The water palace lady was both shocked and indignant. I stayed silent. Was the plan about to fail? If so, I'd have to resort to the backup plan. While In Sun Yang had taken the Lingdong mushroom, I still had ways to force her to hand over the dragon spirit talisman. But it wouldn't be easy. It seemed the nine-tailed fox wasn't someone I could manipulate so easily. Nine-tailed sister, your daughter is awake, and everyone's relieved. Congratulations! In Sun Yang said smugly, clearly gloating at my expense. She seemed to think she had won effortlessly. The nine-tailed fox turned to her calmly. You played a role in this. Without your help, my daughter wouldn't have survived. We've known each other for years. This was just a small favor, it's what I should do. In Sun Yang smiled. Well, I won't overstay my welcome. Daughter, let's go. She looked toward the water palace lady. The water palace lady ignored her and kept her eyes on the nine-tailed fox. I don't understand, if he saved your daughter, why won't you acknowledge it? In Sun Yang frowned. Shut your mouth. The nine-tailed fox addressed the water palace lady. It was your mother who saved my daughter. I would never mistake that. In Sun Yang smirked coldly. So, you're this heartless, the water palace lady said, taking a deep breath, her face growing cold. Nine-tailed sister has sharp judgment. She wouldn't get it wrong, In Sun Yang said smugly. And besides, who fights over credit for saving someone? This young man is truly unreliable. Exactly. Young people love showing off, the nine-tailed fox agreed. She suddenly produced a small bottle emitting a fragrant aroma. It was a token of thanks for In Sun Yang's life-saving effort. In Sun Yang's pupils contracted. The water palace lady's expression darkened. In Sun Yang, thank you for saving my daughter. This is a small gesture of my gratitude, please take this vitality pill, the nine-tailed fox said. In Sun Yang's face lit up with a trace of joy, though she didn't show too much. She accepted the bottle immediately. Thank you, nine-tailed sister. Her gaze, however, carried a hint of smugness, and it seemed as if her mocking words echoed in my ears. Boy, did you see that? Do you think the nine-tailed fox doesn't know you saved her daughter? She absolutely knows. But even if you really saved her, you don't deserve her gratitude, because you're too weak. She doesn't even think you're worth acknowledging. Her words were condescending, as if I were an outsider. That's how this world works. If you don't belong to a certain circle, no matter how hard you try to force your way in, it's futile. When someone deliberately refuses to recognize you, there's nothing you can do to refute it. What I thought was a life-saving favor might mean nothing to others. To be honest, I was furious. This time, I had miscalculated. I stared at the nine-tailed fox expressionlessly. The nine-tailed fox looked at In Sun-young. By the way, there's something I'd like to ask you for, are you willing? In Sun-young was in a good mood and blurted out, since Sister Ninetails gave me a chi restoration pill, of course I have to reciprocate. Just tell me what you want. Then give me the dragon annihilation talisman in your hand, the nine-tailed fox said calmly. In Sun-young froze. Water Palace Lady and I were equally stunned. Sister Ninetails, you must be joking, right? In Sun-young asked, surprised. The dragon annihilation talisman, the nine-tailed fox repeated. In Sun-young's face changed dramatically. The arrogance from moments before vanished, replaced by an expression as sour as if she'd swallowed something vile. We heard it loud and clear. Could I have misread this situation? I looked at the nine-tailed fox again, trying to gauge her intent. Why had she deliberately denied that it was me who saved her earlier? Sister Ninetails, are you serious? What do you even need the dragon annihilation talisman for? In Sun-young asked with a forced smile. Didn't you say I could ask for anything? Well, I'm asking. Hand it over. The nine-tailed fox's tone remained composed. In Sun-young's lips twitched. With your level of cultivation, you don't need this talisman. What could you possibly want with it? Just give it to me. Stop wasting time, the nine-tailed fox snapped with a cold, piercing gaze. In Sun-young's face darkened, her anger flaring up, but she held it in. Fine, but can I at least ask if Sister Ninetails plans to use it herself? Her gaze swept toward me venomously as she spoke. Hand it over. The nine-tailed fox's voice dropped in temperature. It wasn't loud, but its chilling force was oppressive. In Sun-young's expression twisted as if she were being forced to part with a piece of her own flesh. After a long struggle, she finally produced a pale gold talisman. I squinted, my eyes lighting up. The talisman was larger than most, its material sturdy and unique, almost like a mix of leather and cloth. Intricate, arcane runes shimmered faintly on its surface, radiating a powerful aura. No wonder they called it the Dragon Annihilation Talisman, it looked capable of delivering exactly that. The nine-tailed fox flicked her fingers, and the talisman trembled violently. In Sun-young held onto it tightly. Her expression was grim, like someone who never gave but only took, now being forced into a major loss. She was seething. The nine-tailed fox's gaze bore into her. After a 3-second hesitation, In Sun-young relented and released her grip. The talisman immediately flew into the nine-tailed fox's grasp. Sister Ninetails, this dragon annihilation, In Sun-young began. You can leave now, the nine-tailed fox interrupted. In Sun-young was stunned. I said, you can leave. Didn't you understand? The nine-tailed fox's tone grew heavier. In Sun-young's expression soured further. She turned to the Water Palace Lady. Let's go. I meant you alone can leave, the nine-tailed fox said icily. A flash of anger flickered in Sun-young's eyes, but her strength was no match for the nine-tailed fox. She had no choice but to suppress it. Narrowing her eyes at me, she hissed, Kid, we're not done here. Without another word, she turned and stormed off. Not long ago, she had been so smug, thinking she was a guest of honor in the nine-tailed fox's domain. Now she had been thoroughly humiliated, and by her own doing. Both the Water Palace Lady and I were astounded. The ease with which the nine-tailed fox controlled In Sun-young's actions suggested her cultivation level exceeded In Sun-young's by at least 500 years. Otherwise, In Sun-young wouldn't have swallowed her pride so easily. What's your name? The nine-tailed fox looked at me, her tone indifferent. Lin Xian, I replied, using a false name. This talisman is yours now, she said. She released her grip, and the talisman floated toward me. I caught it with both hands. The talisman was as remarkable as it looked, heavy and imbued with an extraordinary presence. I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. With this, I'd have a significant edge at the Yellow River Dragon King's wedding. I carefully put the Dragon Annihilation talisman away, thinking to myself that this trip had been more than worth it. The Water Palace Lady also seemed relieved. Senior, but just now you. I began, staring at the nine-tailed fox with confusion. Her earlier actions baffled me. Do all high-level cultivators have such peculiar personalities? I don't explain myself, the nine-tailed fox said coldly. I was speechless. Typical. Masters like her always had to act aloof. Since that was the case, I had no reason to linger. It was clear the nine-tailed fox wanted us gone. I had the Dragon Annihilation talisman now. With 8 days left, I needed to make the most of my time. The Water Palace lady and I exchanged a glance and prepared to leave. Did I say you could leave? The nine-tailed fox suddenly said. The Water Palace lady frowned, and my expression shifted. Your mother just took my spirit cave mushrooms. I didn't make a fuss, but that doesn't mean I didn't notice, the nine-tailed fox said, staring at the Water Palace lady. The Water Palace lady's expression remained composed. So, what do you want? To settle accounts? I couldn't care less about a few spirit cave mushrooms, the nine-tailed fox replied coolly. Then what's your point? The Water Palace lady asked, her brows furrowing. The mushrooms are a minor matter, but now you owe me a favor, the nine-tailed fox said. The Water Palace lady's face hardened. I don't owe you. I didn't take them. Blame whoever did. I say you owe me, so you owe me, the nine-tailed fox responded frostily. The Water Palace lady's face darkened with anger. I was dumbfounded. This nine-tailed fox really had an eccentric personality. Then she turned her gaze to me. You urinated on the tree near my cave entrance. Disgusting. Normally, anyone who did such a thing would be killed on the spot. I let you off this time, but now you owe me a favor too. Her words made me bristle. If I hadn't relieved myself there, would she have returned so quickly? I saved your daughter, I said bluntly. And I gave you the talisman. Saving her was one matter, defiling my cave is another, the nine-tailed fox retorted. I was left speechless. She wasn't entirely ungrateful, but dealing with her was infuriating. I couldn't help but wonder. Her daughter was still young, and her father was nowhere in sight. Had he abandoned them? Was that why she was so strange? Still, why take it out on me? Do I look like a punching bag? All I wanted was to leave this place and never come back. The Water Palace lady and I began heading toward the exit. Remember, you both owe me a favor, the nine-tailed fox said nonchalantly. We ignored her, but as I walked, I suddenly felt something grab my ankle. Looking down, I saw it was the little fox from earlier. It had run out and was whining at me, its eyes full of affection. I couldn't understand what it was saying, but it clearly liked me. It was much cuter than its mother. I crouched down and patted its fluffy head. It closed its eyes, enjoying the gesture, rubbing its head against me like a spoiled pet. Then why don't you stay as her daughter's male attendant, the nine-tailed fox said. Male attendant? That made my blood boil. Was this how she repaid kindness? I was on a tight schedule. How could I possibly stay? The little fox immediately shook its head and pleaded incessantly. This is the 15th out of 15 sections. Following your logic, I've processed the content below while maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Here's the result. I said he stays, so he stays. Perfect, he can keep an eye on you, make sure you don't sneak off. The nine-tailed fox spirit waved her hand dismissively. Suddenly, a loud boom echoed from outside the cave, and the ground trembled slightly. I jumped in fright, the cave door slammed shut. The little fox anxiously scurried to the nine-tailed fox spirit's feet, begging her to let me out. The Water Palace mistress's face turned icy. I fixed my gaze on the nine-tailed fox spirit. Whatever it is, just spit it out. No need for all this roundabout nonsense. At last, I understood. She wanted my help. Why else would she go to such lengths to mess with me? The nine-tailed fox spirit narrowed her eyes. You dare talk back? All men deserve to die, especially the disobedient ones. I'll ask one more time. Did you just talk back to me? Yes, I did. So what? I was furious. What was going on today? Just because your powers are stronger, you think you can push me around? I've been bullied for 18 years. Isn't that enough? I refuse. I won't bow down. The nine-tailed fox's gaze turned completely icy. She stood up slowly. Though she didn't make a move, an oppressive aura filled the cavern, bearing down on me like the weight of a small car, making my body heavy and uncomfortable. Luckily, I have a unique constitution. Otherwise, an ordinary person would have already crumpled under this pressure. But I wasn't afraid in the slightest, I kept my eyes locked on her. At first, I thought she was targeting me, trying to force me to help her, so I expected her to be straightforward about it. But the more I thought about it, the stranger it seemed. It felt like she simply had it out for me, purposefully making trouble. First, she forced me to owe her a favor, then she wanted me to become her daughter's male attendant. She even denied in front of the insomniac that I had saved her daughter. Was all of this intentional? Could it really be because she couldn't stand me? I couldn't wrap my head around it. This was the first time I'd ever met her. I hadn't done anything to offend her. Could it be because of him? At that moment, the little fox sensed the nine-tailed fox was about to lose her temper. It immediately ran over to stand in front of me, whimpering and trying to shield me. That gave me some reassurance. The nine-tailed fox glanced down at her daughter, furrowed her brows, and then sat back down expressionlessly, her face returning to calm. She waved her hand, and with a sharp click, the stone door of the cave creaked open. The Water Palace lady let out a sigh of relief, but I kept my gaze fixed on the nine-tailed fox. The little fox tugged at me with its paws, urging me to leave. I looked at the nine-tailed fox and said, "Senior, I'd like to speak with you alone." The water palace lady froze, and so did the little fox. The nine-tailed fox cast me a sidelong glance and gestured with her hand. The water palace lady hesitated for a few seconds before stepping out. The little fox, seeing my determination, reluctantly retreated into the cave. The nine-tailed fox's voice was cold. "Why aren't you leaving?" The little fox lowered its head in grievance and obediently went further inside. I spoke directly. "Senior, do you have something against me?" The nine-tailed fox didn't answer, only narrowing her eyes at me. I continued. "I used the dragon-slaying talisman to try to kill the Yellow River Dragon King. Do you have a grudge against him?" Her pupils contracted. "What's your connection to him?" "We're enemies." "You? An enemy to him?" She frowned. "He's been hunting me for 18 years. You'd consider him your enemy too if you were in my shoes," I said. The nine-tailed fox stood up and slowly approached me. "Are you his son? But you don't have dragon energy on you. My mother was a mortal. A bastard child?" She took a deep breath. "No wonder. So there is a reason I find you unpleasant." Only then did I understand her hostility towards me stemmed from an old grudge with the Yellow River Dragon King. It wasn't a small grudge, either. Otherwise, why would she despise me so much and even humiliate me by trying to make me her daughter's servant? It was clearly a calculated insult to the Yellow River Dragon King. Her refusal to acknowledge that I had saved her daughter was also part of this scheming ploy. This nine-tailed fox was cunning and hard to read. I pressed. "Senior, what kind of grudge do you have with him?" She snorted coldly. "It's none of your business." Her tone was icy, the tension palpable. I probed further. "He's planning a grand wedding in the 9 heavens, and I'm preparing to kill him there. Would you like to join me?" Her eyes narrowed. "Are you out of your mind?" It seemed she didn't know the Yellow River Dragon King had been severely injured. The news had been tightly sealed. I said, "He's gravely injured. Do you believe me?" Her expression shifted, momentarily losing composure. "When did this happen?" "I haven't heard anything. Hardly anyone in the mortal realm could hurt him. He's about to transcend his tribulation." "Are you sure about this?" "I think you've got it wrong." I told her about how the water palace lady had asked me to help prepare the tri-elemental flower for healing purposes. The nine-tailed fox's eyes flickered, and for the first time, a faint smile crossed her face. "Interesting. I only just found out. I regret not knowing sooner. But even if he's injured, you wouldn't stand a chance against him," she added. I then shared the details of the trap I had set within the tri-elemental flower. The nine-tailed fox was momentarily stunned after hearing this, then unexpectedly let out a satisfied and almost gleeful laugh. "Heh, how amusing. The Yellow River Dragon King has been unstoppable in the mortal realm, arrogant and overbearing, and now he's fallen into the pit you dug for him. This is karma. Fine. If you can truly deal him a serious blow, I'll make an appearance at the critical moment to help you out," she continued. Hearing this, a flicker of hope ignited in my chest. I was even a bit thrilled. This was an unexpected surprise. "Oh, Yellow River Dragon King, the wedding gift I've prepared for you is anything but ordinary. After 18 years of torment, consider this my response to you. When the kitchen god demands dragon blood from you and the nine-tailed fox is poised to ambush, how will you respond, Yellow River Dragon King? I can't wait to see the look of shock and fury on your face." "It's settled, then," I said. "I keep my word. But remember, you must first weaken him to the brink of death, or I won't intervene," the nine-tailed fox reminded me. I nodded, my spirits lifted. "Very well. You may leave now. See you at the Dragon King's wedding." With that, the nine-tailed fox turned and walked back into the cave. I stood there for a moment, processing everything. Just as I was about to leave, I heard the little fox's voice behind me. "Do you like him that much? Fine, I'll make him your male attendant." "No? Then what? Make him your dad?" The tone sent a shiver down my spine, and I hurriedly bolted out of the cave. Outside, the water palace lady was waiting for me. She didn't ask what I had discussed with the nine-tailed fox, and we descended the mountain in silence. With the dragon-slaying talisman in hand, I needed to make good use of the remaining time to collect some dragon blood to boost my strength. Only then could I wield the thunderstrike bamboo to decapitate the Yellow River Dragon King at his wedding. As soon as we reached the foot of the mountain, San Yang appeared, her gaze fixed on me, clearly still unwilling to back down. I kept my expression neutral, wary of her attacking at any moment. The water palace lady stepped closer, staring at San Yang. Just as San Yang was about to strike, a calm yet commanding voice echoed from the mountain peak. "San Yang, I have an agreement with this Lin Xian. Do you dare touch him?" It was the nine-tailed fox speaking up for me. I hadn't expected her to intervene. San Yang looked shocked, as though she couldn't comprehend the nature of the agreement between the nine-tailed fox and me. She cast a cold glance at me. "What kind of spell did you cast on the nine-tailed fox? She's notoriously stubborn, yet she's protecting you? She despises men the most. Why doesn't she hate you?" she pressed. I simply stared back at her. Of course, the nine-tailed fox didn't like me, she was merely honoring an agreement. Oof. You got lucky this time. San Yang withdrew her killing intent, clearly wary of the nine-tailed fox, and refrained from making a move. With a scoff, she vanished into the forest, disappearing in the blink of an eye. I smirked internally. She really thought obtaining the spirit cave fungus would extend her life? In the end, she'd undoubtedly suffer the consequences. The water palace lady exhaled deeply, opened the car door, and I followed her inside. She drove me back to the Yellow River Dragon Palace. For her, as a new bride, 8 days was still a short period of time. The ride was smooth, and by dawn, I caught up on some sleep in the car. I asked her to wait a moment while I went to ask the master how to cure the dragon venom on the water palace lady. The water palace lady nodded. I opened the car door and dashed out, entering the shop and calling out, "Master." Zhang Jiuxuan brought out a steaming bowl of egg noodles. Seeing me return, she smiled and said, "Husband, have something to eat first." I asked anxiously, "Master, how can we cure the dragon venom?" She set the bowl down and gently pulled me to sit, gesturing for me to eat as she explained, "The most effective way to cure dragon venom is for the Dragon King himself to neutralize it, but that's nearly impossible. Dragon venom is essentially a toxin from the Dragon King's body, similar to snake venom, because he was once a venomous snake that cultivated into a flood dragon and then ascended to dragonhood. Since it's like snake venom, it can be treated with methods used to counteract snake venom." I frowned deeply. Zhang Jiuxuan continued, "Near a venomous snake's lair, there are always herbs that can counteract the poison. The saying where venomous snakes roam, within 7 steps lies the antidote is true. As long as we find the antidote, the dragon venom can be cured." My heart tightened. "Master, does this mean we need to find the antidote in the Dragon King's bedchamber?" She nodded. I realized that the Dragon King, gravely injured, had been confined to his bedchamber. Breaking in recklessly would be extremely dangerous. The water palace lady had once cared for him but hadn't found the antidote, which meant it was hidden even deeper, further increasing the difficulty. "Is there no other way?" I asked. "No," Zhang Jiuxuan shook her head. I fell into a dilemma. At that moment, the water palace lady entered. Her face lacked anger, replaced with disappointment and lifeless eyes. I immediately said, "I've already obtained the dragon extermination talisman. I'll definitely help you cure the dragon venom. Don't worry." The water palace lady remained silent. I put down my chopsticks and paced around the shop, trying to think of a solution. The two of them watched me quietly, the shop steeped in silence. 5 minutes later, a sudden idea struck me. "I've got it." Zhang Jiuxuan smiled faintly, and a glimmer of hope appeared in the water palace lady's eyes. "He's been staying in the dragon palace recently, but even the most careful plans have their gaps. On the day of the wedding, he'll have to leave his bedchamber. That's when I'll sneak in and find the antidote for you," I said. Zhang Jiuxuan nodded in approval. The water palace lady hesitated. "Can it really work?" "It will," I assured her. Although I was unfamiliar with the Dragon Palace's layout and the infiltration would be fraught with danger, I couldn't let the water palace lady down. "You'll signal me when he leaves the bedchamber, and I'll act immediately," I instructed. The water palace lady seemed deep in thought. Zhang Jiuxuan said, "Luring the tiger out of the mountain and striking while the den is empty, this is a good plan." She then pulled me to sit back down, urging me to finish my noodles. I quickly ate. After a long silence, the water palace lady finally nodded. "All right. But if you can't find the antidote, let it go. I won't force it. Perhaps it's just fate. Man can triumph over fate. Leave it to me. You head back first. On the wedding day, I'll be there on time. Once I find the antidote, I'll bring it to you immediately," I said with determination. When she heard the words "bring it to you," a faint light flashed in her eyes. But as soon as I corrected myself, that light vanished, and she nodded somberly before leaving alone, her figure like a flame about to be extinguished in the darkness. I didn't stop her. A few seconds later, the sound of an engine roared to life as the water palace lady drove back to the dragon palace to prepare for the wedding. "Husband, on the wedding day, will you really not take her with you?" Zhang Jiuxuan asked. I sighed and shook my head. "I don't even know if I'll make it out alive that day. How can I take her with me? I can't put her in harm's way. If I gave her the antidote, she could secretly cure herself, and the Dragon King wouldn't trouble her. But if I openly took her away, it would cost the Yellow River Dragon King his pride, and there'd be no turning back. This time, I was gambling with my life. I wouldn't drag her into it. But she still hopes you'll take her away." "She trusts you," Zhang Jiuxuan said. I remained silent. Once she cured herself, she'd be weak. While being weak was uncomfortable, it wasn't fatal. It was better than me recklessly taking her away and risking her life. "Fine. If you marry her as a concubine, I'd fully support it," Zhang Jiuxuan said with a smile. I sighed in exasperation. Master, having you is enough. As I spoke, I instinctively hugged Jiang Zhoushuan, but when I saw her squinting at me, I quickly let go. That expression, I couldn't handle it. I hastily changed the topic. Master, I encountered the nine-tailed fox. I recounted my encounter with Yin Sanyan and the nine-tailed fox. Jiang Zhoushuan's expression shifted. Husband, your wedding gift is certainly extraordinary. Looks like the Yellow River Dragon King might really die by your hand this time. Let's hope so, I nodded. Husband, do you want to rest first? I'll make your bed and even prepare a bath for you, Jiang Zhoushuan said gently. I shook my head. I already slept in the car. Right now, I just want to reclaim the dragon's blood as soon as possible. She insisted, as your wife, it's my responsibility to ensure you're clean and comfortable. I coughed. I'll bathe when I get back. Alright, as you wish. Jiang Zhoushuan nodded. Just as I was about to step out, I heard the sound of a car pulling up outside. My chest tightened. Could the Water Palace lady have returned? Master, I'll go check, I said. Jiang Zhoushuan glanced outside, her expression briefly shifting to one of surprise. I stepped out and saw Morong Qingcheng helping an elderly white-haired woman out of the car. It was the Dragon Group's leader. I froze, suddenly remembering I had forgotten what I promised her. Last time, she had tasked me with using the Thunderstrike bamboo to find the Daughter of Heaven, as only that girl could resolve a major crisis. In my rush to reclaim the dragon's blood upon returning, I'd completely forgotten. I was mortified. The pressure from the Dragon King had caused my mind to blank, and the Dragon Group leader's patience had worn thin. She had come to find me herself. Feeling guilty, I hurried over to greet her. Morong Qingcheng looked cold, clearly annoyed that I hadn't helped Longshiyu. But that was her father's matter, I wouldn't get involved. Sorry, I forgot about last time, I said apologetically. It's alright. Important people tend to be forgetful. The fact that you didn't shirk your responsibility shows you're a good kid with a bright future. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. The Dragon Group leader's voice was weak but earnest. I could tell she didn't have much time left. Her condition was far worse than before. You're busy preparing for the Yellow River Dragon King's wedding, right? She asked. I remained silent. Then spare me a bit of your time. Help me divine the Daughter of Heaven's location, and then you can return to your work, she said. I sighed, taking her frail, skeletal hand to support her. My heart ached. She reminded me of a warm, nurturing mother. Such an elder deserved my respect. After all, the first time she met me, she entrusted me with the position of Dragon Group leader. Her trust had left a deep impression on me. Here is the process translation, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. I carefully escorted her into the shop, but Master Jiang Zhoushuan didn't come out. This lightning-struck bamboo is impressive. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw the bamboo in the vase. As expected of the magical artifact from back then, its color is exceptional, and it's imbued with spiritual energy. All those millennia-old legends must be true. She's probably even more powerful than the stories say, otherwise, the lightning-struck bamboo wouldn't have cultivated itself like this. There was a rare hint of excitement on her face. I was curious, what exactly was this big deal? Since she had come personally to hurry me, I didn't delay. I ran my hand over the lightning-struck bamboo, absorbing its aura, preparing to cast a divination to locate the whereabouts of the celestial prodigy. The leader of the Dragon Group's murky eyes suddenly lit up as she fixed her gaze on my every move. First, I extracted the aura from the bamboo. Then, I took out a set of copper coins specifically used for divination from the table in the shop. Using copper coins for divination is one of our fortune-telling sex-exclusive techniques. Since the leader of the Dragon Group had come in person this time, I had to take it seriously. I retrieved 10 copper coins and repeatedly rubbed them with the bamboo's aura, ensuring each coin was imbued with its energy. This would make the divination more accurate. After all, the Dragon Group leader had mentioned before that the celestial prodigy had suppressed 80 to 90% of her spiritual power and might have sealed parts of her memory, deliberately masking her aura. The task was challenging to begin with, and considering the bamboo had been separated from her for over 1,000 years, with only faint traces of its energy left, the divination became even harder. To be honest, I wasn't confident I could pinpoint her location. But since I'd promised the Dragon Group leader, I had to give it my all. After finishing with the coins, they emitted a faint green glow. The preparation was complete. I placed the coins into a tortoiseshell. As I began shaking it, the clinking of the coins sounded crisp yet viscous, indicating that the bamboo's aura was taking effect. Morong Qingcheng also watched me curiously. The Dragon Group leader grew anxious. If you can really figure out where she is, I suggest that when you find her, you immediately ask to become her apprentice. With her, the number one of 1,000 years, backing you, no one in Yanxia would be a match for you. Her eyes gleamed. I paused, realizing that with the number 1 as my mentor, even the Dragon King of the Yellow River wouldn't stand a chance. It'd be much easier to settle scores with him. I'd practically be untouchable in the living world. But I shook my head. I already had a master, Zhang Jiushuan. I didn't need another. I continued shaking the coins, but something felt off. The clinking grew fainter, and the coins became increasingly stuck together. Clearly, this divination wasn't working. If the divination couldn't be completed, how could I locate the celestial prodigy? I quickly stopped, fearing all the coins might get jammed inside the tortoiseshell, making them impossible to retrieve. After stopping, 3 coins fell out of the tortoiseshell as if it were in labor. The remaining 7 coins hovered mid-air, immovable despite my efforts, as though fixed in place. Morong Qingcheng and the Dragon Group leader's expressions changed drastically. I was the only one who understood it was because the celestial prodigy's power was too immense. I couldn't divine her whereabouts. The 7 coins were like stillborns, stuck inside. What's going on? The Dragon Group leader was trembling with anxiety, sensing something was wrong. Sorry, this divination can't be completed, I admitted helplessly. How is that possible? If we can't find her, the consequences will be dire. She was deeply concerned, not for herself, but for the safety of countless others. She was too kind-hearted. I reassured her, don't worry. Even though the divination failed, the 3 coins that fell out still give us hope. Let me try again. Alright, do it quickly. The Dragon Group leader's eyes were glued to me, afraid to miss any details. Morong Qingcheng was also watching closely. I stared at the 3 coins, pondering for over 10 minutes before a thought occurred to me. Earlier, you suggested I take her as my mentor. That's not possible. The divination shows she already has a disciple of her own. I pointed to the coins to explain. Among the 3 that fell, 2 were stacked together, with the older coin on top and the newer one beneath. The small area of contact indicated a relationship closer than friendship, most likely a master-disciple bond. But their connection seemed even deeper than that of master and disciple. Could it be that they had crossed the boundary and become lovers? It was a possibility. What a shame. I wonder who's lucky enough to be her disciple. The Dragon Group leader sighed, torn between resignation and hope. I looked at the remaining coin and remarked, one more thing, she indeed suppressed 80 to 90% of her spiritual power, as you said. The fact that she can control her power so freely proves she truly is the celestial prodigy. I said this with confidence. The last coin had its yang side facing up, but it was balanced on a nail on the table, with one corner lifted, revealing its yin side. The celestial prodigy was female, and the yin side represented her. That one corner of the coin was raised just enough to expose the yin side, suggesting she was using the yang side as a disguise, confirming that her spiritual power had indeed been sealed. As for whether her memories were sealed, that was also evident. Beneath the coin was a nail. Wasn't that saying this woman had a nail in her? And where would that nail be? It could only be in her memory. This meant her memories were sealed. After explaining this, the Dragon Group leader anxiously asked, so where is she now? I continued to study the 3 coins. Morong Qingcheng, now intrigued, guessed, could she be hiding in a place with the densest yin energy to train? There are only a few such areas in the living world. Maybe she's in one of them? After all, she's a ghost. Yin energy must be important to her. No, I immediately dismissed the idea. She was already the strongest in life. Even in death, she doesn't need to train. As a ghost, she can appear freely without being easily detected. Training would be unnecessary, merely icing on the cake. Besides, the 2 coins stacked together represent her and her disciple. These coins are in the east, the place where the sun rises, where yang energy is abundant. This indicates she's likely hiding in an ordinary place. If it were the west, that would be where yin energy is densest, but that's clearly not the case now. Morong Qingcheng felt my reasoning made sense and didn't argue further. Then where in the east is she? The Dragon Group leader pressed. The divination doesn't show that clearly, I admitted. The results were already incomplete. I had pushed my limits. Aren't we already in the east? Morong Qingcheng suggested. The east is vast, and the divination doesn't provide a specific direction. It's still like searching for a needle in a haystack, I sighed. Morong Qingcheng seemed resigned. What's more, her memories are sealed. Even if we find her, it won't help, I added. After all, the Dragon Group leader had previously mentioned that she sealed her memories to avoid reincarnation. Why wouldn't she want to reincarnate? She wouldn't easily lift the seal. She must have her reasons. So even if we found her, it would be nearly impossible to force her to unseal herself early. Let me know if you need anything else. This is section 458. I will process the content according to the original structure, paragraph breaks, and overall layout while maintaining its format. I continued examining the divination. 2 of the 3 copper coins were stacked together, seemingly gazing at the third one. Could it be that she's been searching for someone all along? Who could it be? What should we do then? The dragon group leader was anxious beyond words. I think, unless there's a major event that forces her to break the seal and restore her powers ahead of time, it's unlikely, I replied. What kind of event could force her hand? The dragon group leader pressed urgently. Look at the third copper coin. The two stacked coins are gazing at it in solitude, implying she's looking for someone. If she finds that person, she'll surely unseal herself, I explained. The dragon group leader sighed deeply. We can't even find her, let alone find someone else. Is there another way? There is. I pointed at the two stacked coins. Her relationship with her apprentice is unusually close, they're inseparable. If her apprentice encounters a life-threatening situation, even on the verge of death, I believe she'd unseal herself without hesitation to save them. Both the dragon group leader and Morong Qingcheng froze in place. How can you be so sure she'd break the seal for her apprentice? The dragon group leader questioned. It's just a feeling, I said. Their master-apprentice bond didn't seem ordinary. She's a good master, but, sigh. The dragon group leader fell silent for a long time. I'm sorry, I really can't help this time, I said apologetically. It's fine. You've already done your best. The dragon group leader shook their head, their expression despondent, as though they had lost all will to live. I asked her, what could be so critical that only this woman could handle it? The dragon group leader hesitated, fear flashing across her face, just like last time. It seemed like this was truly something terrifying. Though I was curious, I refrained from asking further. After all, she specifically requested the heavenly chosen woman to resolve it, and I lacked the capability to step in. My heart was willing, but my strength was insufficient. Will I really never see her in this lifetime? I've been hearing stories about her since I was a child, her unmatched strength, her devotion to the Tao, her demon-slaying feats, and her guardianship of humanity. She's been my lifelong aspiration. Even my position as the dragon group leader was inspired by her. But in the end, it's all for nothing, sigh, we're fated to never meet. What a pity. The dragon group leader's sigh was heavy, her vitality almost completely drained from her eyes. At that moment, she looked like someone about to depart this world, burdened with regret. Her sorrow was so profound that I feared she wouldn't even be able to close her eyes in peace when the time came. Morong Qingcheng was just as distraught, supporting her to leave for some rest. Watching her worry over this matter, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow. She truly was a venerable elder worthy of respect. Just then, the creak of an opening door broke the silence. My master, Zhang Zhouxuan, stepped out, glancing briefly at the divination on the table. She spoke, husband, let me pour you a glass of water. She walked over, placed a cup beside the copper coins, and poured water. A few drops spilled over the edge, landing precisely on one of the coins. Husband, have some water. She handed me the cup gently. My gaze remained fixed on the copper coin with water droplets. What a coincidence, wet coin. The dragon group leader, who had just stepped out, suddenly froze, turning back instinctively. Her eyes widened in shock, as though she had discovered a treasure, her gaze locked firmly on Zhang Zhouxuan. She trembled slightly as she walked back, her eyes never leaving Zhang Zhouxuan. Morong Qingcheng introduced her, this is my master. The dragon group leader approached Zhang Zhouxuan, scrutinizing her closely, while Zhang Zhouxuan glanced back, a subtle flicker in her gaze. After 3 long minutes, the dragon group leader took a deep breath and cautiously asked, are you, his master? Yes, Zhang Zhouxuan replied simply. Zhang Zhouxuan rarely showed herself, so her appearance this time caught me off guard. You, the dragon group leader was about to say more, but Zhang Zhouxuan cut her off. You're getting on in years. Some matters are best left alone. Go back and rest. The dragon group leader was stunned. Zhang Zhouxuan handed me the cup of water again. I couldn't take my eyes off the water-streaked coin. Dragon group leader, good news. When master poured the water, it spilled onto the coin. That means the divination has shifted. Really? What does it mean? The dragon group leader was trembling with excitement. Even Morong Qingcheng looked revitalized. I enthusiastically explained, the water on the coin suggests that the coin got wet. Who would leave it like that? Normally, anyone would wipe it dry immediately. This divination implies that when your so-called critical event occurs, she'll appear and wipe away this water for you. That's wonderful. The dragon group leader burst into tears of joy. With her around, I can die without regret. I breathed a sigh of relief. Who would have thought Zhang Zhouxuan's accidental actions would alter the divination, foretelling her intervention? This mission now seemed far more secure. Zhang Zhouxuan truly was my lucky star. I glanced again at the water-streaked coin. The dragon group leader gazed at Zhang Zhouxuan once more and asked with elderly humility, have we met before? Zhang Zhouxuan shook her head. The dragon group leader continued, no, but I feel a strange sense of comfort around you, like meeting an elder. If only we had met earlier. Jiang Zhoushuan squinted slightly but remained silent. Realizing she had said too much, the dragon group leader didn't press further. She informed me that she'd also be attending the Yellow River Dragon King's wedding. My expression darkened. She was going too? No matter what, you're the next dragon group leader. I'll protect you with my life. Her tone was resolute, her pale face exuding an almost heartbreaking determination. Morong Qingcheng supported her out the door. I hesitated to dissuade her, but her stubborn nature made it impossible to change her mind. I could only hope nothing would happen to her at the wedding. Anything else would be too tragic. Morong Qingcheng turned back to me, handing over a small embroidered pouch. Long Shiyu insisted that you carry this. What is it? I asked. Just keep it on you. She stuffed the pouch into my hand. I was speechless. She also asked me to pass along a message. Morong Qingcheng's voice lowered. She said there's been an unusual phenomenon in the Dragon Palace upon her return. What kind of phenomenon? My expression shifted. She didn't see it clearly, only felt a strange tremor. When she went to investigate, she noticed a golden aura flashing across the roof of the Dragon King's sleeping quarters. Golden aura? My face darkened further. Could it be the Yellow River Dragon King's healing energy? Anything else? I asked. That's all she saw. Initially, she thought it was related to healing, but something felt off, so she wanted to tell you and advised you not to go, Morong Qingcheng replied. Not go? My eyes lit up, but it was already too late. I had prepared my gift for the Dragon King's grand event and had to attend in person. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The greatest hope for my survival in 19 years. How could I possibly miss it? Here's the translated in-process text for American readers while maintaining the original structure, paragraph breaks, and overall layout. I've delivered the message. It's up to you now. Shiyu treats you so well, tells you everything, but you've hurt her this time. How could you do this to her? Morong Qingcheng glared at me, standing up for her best friend. I sighed helplessly. I didn't mean to. Only you are forced by circumstances? Yet she still chooses to protect you. You're just— Morong Qingcheng was furious, shooting me a sharp look before shaking her head in disappointment and getting into the car. I called out to her. Don't talk to me. She huffed. I stammered, watching as she drove away with the leader of the dragon group. Standing there for a while, I muttered under my breath, Golden aura? What does that mean? Puzzled, I headed back into the shop, where I saw Jiang Zhoushuan staring intently at the copper coin with water droplets on the table. I walked over. Husband, what you said earlier was spot on, Jiang Zhoushuan said softly. I'm just showing off in front of an expert, I waved dismissively. No, really. Your fortune-telling skills will soon surpass mine, she said with a gentle smile. I shook my head, knowing she was just comforting me, humbling herself. Master, do you know this daughter of heaven? I asked. Me? Jiang Zhoushuan paused, then shook her head. I don't recall. I stared at the coin and said, if you knew her, she's in trouble. The leader of the dragon group was just here, and I couldn't say it outright, but she'd be worried. 2 water droplets are wrong. 2 is an unlucky number, representing possible misfortune. I've taught you that. Go on, she encouraged, watching me intently. 3 long and 2 short is taboo. These 3 coins only have 2 water droplets, which is similar to that omen. I'm afraid she's facing calamity soon. Calamity? Jiang Zhoushuan squinted. What kind of calamity? Unclear. She might get injured while handling the major issue the dragon group leader mentioned, or encounter some other danger. I can only warn her to be cautious. Unfortunately, I can't pinpoint the location or go in person. Of course, it could just be me overthinking things, I said thoughtfully. This fortune is already shaky to begin with. It's lucky I even got this much. Rubbing my eyes, I felt exhausted, completely drained. Fortune-telling is truly taxing. Jiang Zhoushuan murmured, injured? How? Master, what's wrong? I asked. Nothing. You did great, but you should put this fortune away quickly, lest it backfires, she gently reminded me. As soon as she said that, the copper coin on the table suddenly shattered. My head throbbed, and everything went black as I fainted. The update schedule will speed up starting tomorrow. When I woke up, I wasn't sure how much time had passed. My head felt heavy and painful, as if a boulder was pressing down on it. This time, the fortune was too forced. The backlash hit me hard, and I must remember this lesson. In my haze, I felt someone gently caring for me, wiping the cold sweat from my forehead and cooling me down with their hands. Not long after, someone called out to me. Husband, wake up. You've been asleep for a long time. It was my master's voice. I tried to open my eyes, but the pain was too intense. I couldn't pry them open, no matter how hard I tried, growing more anxious by the second. Although I couldn't fully wake up, I could at least sense that my fortune-telling skills had unexpectedly improved significantly. What an unanticipated stroke of luck! Additionally, while I couldn't obtain dragon blood, I used my consciousness to practice the Taoist technique of the thunderstrike bamboo's severing slash in my dreams. This technique is specifically designed to deal with demons and spirits, and the thunderstrike bamboo itself carries an innate lightning energy to ward off evil. I immersed myself in my memory, practicing repeatedly. Even without the physical object, it yielded results. I don't know how long I practiced, perhaps hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times in the dream. I had mastered the severing slash, ready to use it effortlessly at any moment. If I held the thunderstrike bamboo for real, I was confident I could execute the severing slash perfectly. Eager, I forced myself to wake up from the deep slumber. As my master's voice grew clearer, I suddenly opened my eyes and sat up. Zhang Zhoshuan let out a sigh of relief, reaching out to wipe the cold sweat from my forehead. "Husband, you're finally awake." "Master, how long was I unconscious?" I asked anxiously. Time was critical to me, and the thought of losing too much of it made me uneasy. "You've been asleep for 6 days, Zhang Zhoshuan replied gently. Boom! My mind felt like it had been struck by lightning. I froze in shock. 6 days. I had been unconscious for 6 whole days. The backlash was this severe? I had unintentionally given those women who had torn up the marriage contract 6 extra days of life. Fear and helplessness gripped me. I had planned to spend the next 8 days desperately trying to obtain a few drops of dragon blood, but 6 days had already been wasted in sleep. It took me 3 minutes to snap out of it. I quickly jumped out of bed. Only 2 days remained. I needed to hurry, otherwise, a few drops of dragon blood wouldn't be enough to stand against the Yellow River Dragon King. "Husband, there's no time to snatch dragon blood now," Zhang Zhoshuan said, shaking her head. I froze. What now? Even if I absorbed the dragon blood I had, it wouldn't be enough to restore my half-dragon body. Why was fate toying with me like this? "Husband, sense your own energy. Although you were unconscious for 6 days, your fortune-telling ability has doubled. You've now reached the 5th rank of fortune-telling," Zhang Zhoshuan said softly, holding my hand. I focused inward, and my eyes lit up. My body was filled with yang energy. My senses were sharper, and it felt as though my mind had opened a new door, simplifying my thoughts. Indeed, the improvements in fortune-telling during the dream weren't false. My current skill level was at least half of hers. This advancement brought new hope to my frustration. As a 5th-rank fortune-teller, my yang energy was abundant, providing a solid foundation for cultivation. Even the 10 steps to death technique that the Water Palace lady had taught me had improved, doubling my speed. With my enhanced fortune-telling, all my techniques had leveled up. This was the unique trait of fortune-tellers. It seemed that the 6 days of sleep weren't a total loss. Instead, I had gained from the misfortune. Breaking through my limits, I had forced a shaky fortune to completion. And in my dreams, I had practiced the severing slash 10,000 times. Zhang Zhoshuan was stunned. "Husband, did you say 10,000 times?" She looked at me in disbelief. That number was terrifying. "Yes," I nodded. There wasn't a moment to waste. She smiled warmly. "Husband, you're amazing." Overjoyed, I couldn't wait to turn the thunderstrike bamboo into a sword and test the results of the past 6 days. I mentioned absorbing the dragon blood immediately, but Zhang Zhoshuan thought for a moment and said, "The dragon blood you currently have isn't enough to restore your half-dragon body. Save it for later. When danger arises, use all the dragon blood to not only restore your dragon form but also burn it to unleash your full potential." I found her suggestion reasonable. "Husband, it's time for you to head to the Yellow River Dragon Palace now," Zhang Zhoshuan said. I hesitated, assuming it must be hidden in some secluded part of the Yellow River. Taking a boat there, 2 days would be just enough. "All right." Determination shone in my eyes. "I'll first retrieve something. Then I'll meet you at the Yellow River Dragon Palace," Zhang Zhoshuan added. "All right." I actually didn't want her to take the risk. She's always taken care of me, and I haven't yet repaid her. Remember, if things go south, do not confront him head-on. Killing the Dragon King requires strategy, she reminded me. I nodded silently. "Take a bath first, then we'll head out," Zhang Zhoshuan said. After being unconscious for 6 days, my body reeked of sweat. I definitely needed to clean up and change into fresh clothes. She went to run the bath, and I took the opportunity to walk over to the vase and begin communicating with the thunderstruck bamboo. At this moment, it had already absorbed most of the precious liquid from the vase. Its green hue was vibrant, full of life, and occasionally crackled with flickering arcs of electricity. The thunderstruck bamboo's cultivation must have spanned over 1,500 years. A spiritual thunderstruck bamboo capable of transforming into a bamboo sword is exceedingly rare. After all, thunderstruck bamboo itself is already hard to come by. To find one with over a millennium of cultivation is even rarer, let alone one that successfully underwent tribulation and transformed into human form. Combining these three rare factors, it's likely that all of Yenxia wouldn't have a second bamboo sword like this. Moreover, when a magical artifact gains sentience, it signifies the presence of a spirit within. I was deeply curious about the thunderstruck bamboo's true power now. Could it penetrate the Dragon King of the Yellow River's dragon scale armor? Thunderstruck bamboo, transform into a bamboo sword 2 feet long and 3 fingers wide. I commanded immediately. The thunderstruck bamboo in the vase responded, emitting a vivid green glow as it flew out. Within the radiance, its form began to change. The bamboo leaves disappeared, the bamboo stalk lengthened and flattened, gradually morphing into the shape of a sword. It was as though an invisible mold was shaping it. In no time, the sword's silhouette emerged, and its sharpness became increasingly pronounced. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A clear, resonant sword hum echoed as the thunderstruck bamboo transformed into a magnificent, emerald green bamboo sword. The blade bore no marks of cutting or grinding, only natural bamboo patterns and clean, straight lines. It was flawless. Despite its original form being feminine, the sword's sharpness was dazzling and unparalleled. It was nothing short of a masterpiece. I excitedly reached out to grasp the hilt, feeling a subtle tremor from the blade. The thunderstruck bamboo was connected to my mind and spirit, achieving true unity between human and sword. At this moment, she felt restless, like a fine blade eager to display its prowess after years of honing. I was awestruck by her perfect form. The sharpness she exuded was extraordinarily rare. Holding the thunderstruck sword felt as natural and effortless as if I were the favored daughter of heaven from 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, she had you. Now it's me. Fate works in mysterious ways, I murmured to myself. Just then, Jiang Jiushuan approached. Seeing the thunderstruck sword in my hand, her eyes widened slightly, momentarily stunned. Master, look at the thunderstruck sword, I said, handing the sword to her. Jiang Jiushuan's fingers lightly brushed against the blade, and the sword's hum intensified, the entire sword vibrating violently. My expression shifted as I sensed the thunderstruck bamboo's momentary hesitation. The sword's clear hum rang out, sharp and piercing. Jiang Jiushuan snapped out of her daze, her hand trembling as she withdrew her touch. The sword belongs to you now, my husband. I won't take it. Keep it well, she said. I reluctantly sheathed the sword. The thunderstruck sword stands out too much. You should disguise it, Jiang Jiushuan suggested. I communicated with the thunderstruck bamboo through my mind, asking her to conceal her sharpness.